Cultural Affairs and Sports. Mr. Matthews, it's 10 o'clock on my side. Are you happy for us to start?
Chairperson, good morning to you and all the members. You are quoted, so you may commence.
Perfect. I was just remembering our dear friend and colleague, Honorable Botha. We always started on her time and her clock was always in sync with Wasima Hassan Musa's clock. So I'm going to assume that our clocks are also synced, even though I use a different device to the WCPP. Once again, good morning for those of you who just joined us from Community Safety. This is the Cultural Affairs portion of the meeting. I'm going to ask for the record that members just introduce themselves again. I'm Gillian Bosman. I'm the chairperson of the Standing Committee, and I'll ask the members online to please introduce themselves.
Good morning, Chair. I'm Mesuli Kama, member of the committee.
Good morning, Chair. I'm Dan Clarkin.
Member Bartman, I don't think I can hear you. I can see you moving, I think. Okay, I can see Member Bartman is in the meeting, but she might be having technical difficulties. Welcome to all the members. I'm now going to ask our procedural staff to introduce themselves because I did it earlier.
Good morning, Wasim Matthews, Procedural Officer.
Good morning, everybody. Marianne Burgess, Committee Assistant.
And I see our capable IT officer, Siraj Hassam, is on hold, but a very warm welcome to Siraj and Candice as well for assisting us with the technical aspects of this meeting and making sure that it is on YouTube. Members, we are adopting our draft report into the annual report for the Department of Cultural Affairs and Sports, as well as our discussions with the Western Cape Cultural Commission, as well as the Western Cape Language Commission and Heritage Western Cape. The report is flighted on the screen. It is now no longer a draft report, but it is a report of the Standing Committee on Community Safety, Cultural Affairs and Sport on the annual report discussions of the Department of Cultural Affairs and Sports, Heritage Western Cape, the Western Cape Language Committee and the Western Cape Cultural Commission for the 2021-2022 financial year. We'll move on to page 2. Page 2 outlines what the committee did on the 27th of October. And as you remember, this was quite a spirited discussion because this is a very interesting portfolio which we don't pay enough attention to. But the department and the various entities tabled their annual reports. The committee then went into a discussion on the Western Cape Language Committee's report, then the Western Cape Cultural Commission's report, and then Heritage Western Cape. The committee also allowed for public participation and public input. And I just want to stop there and ask, we're now on page 3, are there any changes or amendments or glaring sort of errors in the report up until paragraph 4 or point 4 on page 3? I see no hands, so we'll move on. On page 3, this is the latter part of page 3, we then discuss the Department of Cultural Affairs and Sports and their annual report. And we then went into public input, point number 6. We took some questions from Mr. Arendse, and point 7 deals with the request for information. So we requested the number of students registered in the Kukukwahab, and I wish Member Marais was here now to correct me because he would know the correct pronunciation at the University of Cape Town for that course. We also asked for the number of participants in the isiXhosa spelling competition per category and the number of learners and grades that participated, as well as if there were any university representations or any other organizations, because we wanted to get a better understanding of how well attended these interesting events are. We then also asked Western Cape, Heritage Western Cape to submit a copy of the summary on the court rulings of Heritage involving Heritage Western Cape for the 21-22 financial year. And then we also requested the Department of Cultural Affairs to submit a budget for the Netball World Cup infrastructure upgrades for municipalities where the courts are located, as well as the construction and the functionality. And we also asked for the costs and appointed service providers where applicable to be included in that. Colleagues, I just want to check, should it not read Netball World Cup 2023 legacy infrastructure upgrades, because the World Cup is taking place at one venue and these courts are part of the legacy aspects, because that's what the department is responsible for. And then we ask for the number of, thank you, Member Bartman. Then we ask for the number of artists supported by the gig economy and where feasible, the amounts per artist and the events. Mr. Matthews, I'm just checking, is gig economy the name of the program, or is it just the gig economy in general, as in artists having a gig?
It's the program that they initiated to support the artists.
Okay, cool. Then leave it as is then.
But I'll double check just to be sure.
But that's, yeah, I remember that's Member Barnes's. Member Barnes is very interested in that. And then a list of the sites where the year beyond participants have been employed, including a list of the 719 job opportunities created by this department. And then a number of job opportunities created for the 2021-22 financial year across the department, as well as a list of the 43 libraries not equipped with departmental funded internet connectivity, as well as timeframes to empower these libraries with internet connectivity. Colleagues, can I ask if we remove the word departmental and say Western Cape government funded internet connectivity? Would that be in order?
In order, Chair.
And then we asked for the details of the municipal conditional grants for sports infrastructure according to the following criteria: the municipalities that were assisted, the screen just moved there. So it is the details of municipal conditional grants for sport infrastructure according to A, the municipalities that were assisted to apply for these grants, the amount received per municipality, and the details of the sports facilities that were upgraded in each year since the 6th administration to date. Then a written plan to address the reconstruction and repair of dilapidated sports infrastructure. Mr. Matthews, if we can just remove the S under reconstructions. Thank you. And then in terms of youth development, a detailed report on social ills like substance abuse, drug abuse, and gangsterism, as well as the number of youths reached through its program. That is very clumsily written. Mr. Matthews?
Yes, Chairperson, sorry for interjecting. I don't have the hand raise function. I did ask Member Barnes for clarity on this because it's I didn't know what to make of it. It's very broad. It doesn't really give any indication. So I'm waiting for feedback from her on that. on that resolution 7.11.
Okay, when did we ask Member Barnes?
I can't give you the exact date, but it was just a few days after the annual report discussion with the department.
Okay.
So
Members, can I propose that we remove that resolution?
In order, Chair.
Thank you very much. Member Kama?
Chair, just in that, because I think the point is aimed at looking at what the department. Sorry about that. I don't know what's happening with my laptop. I think it's aimed at looking what the department is doing. Because remember, the safety plan says these other departments they have a role to play. Now it's looking at those areas and want to understand in terms of their youth development programs, who have they reached in those areas?
So, Member Kama, it's very difficult without having Member Barnes here who proposed it. Can I then ask that we rephrase it, sorry, but then not remove it, and say that we ask the Department of Cultural Affairs and Sports to brief the committee on the department's implementation of the Western Cape's Youth Development Strategy?
That's fine, Chair.
Focusing on how the department responds to social ills and then you can just remove the words "a detailed report on social ills," and then we start the sentence continues from like. And then if we could just add another, if you could just go then to the end of the sentence where it ends with program, and then we can just start a new sentence and say linking this to the implementation of the safety plan. Member Kama? Oh, there you go. That's your thumb. It's very difficult with Teams to see whose thumb is going up because the thumb just floats in the middle of the screen.
Yes, that's me, Chair. That's me. Sorry.
Perfect. Members, the next one is then asking for a feasibility study on having, where do we go now? 7.12, a feasibility study on having a youth directorate based in the department with its own chief director and other components. The reason for this request is to establish the impact of having a centralized governmental youth program rather than via transversal program. Members, I don't understand what we're hoping to achieve with that, because if there's a transversal youth development strategy and we're asking for the department to look at setting up a youth development directory, should we not then wait to see how the department responds to the what is in the youth development strategy first?
Agreed, Chair.
Okay, Member Kama, would you be happy for us to remove that? Member Murray, sorry, I see your hand.
A bit confused. Are we adopting minutes or amending minutes now?
We
are
supposed
to adopt if this is an accurate record of what was decided. And if we then change our minds about what's in the minutes, then we've got to say it, that we've taken another decision. But you cannot start altering minutes. If we decided, we decided. What we've written, we've written. What we voted on, we voted on then. You can't now change it and say, no, we should have said something else. Just a point of order.
Thank you very much, Member Murray, and good morning to you. Welcome to the meeting. We are not on the minutes of the meeting yet. We are still on the report. So we are currently discussing the report.
Point taken then, sir. Point taken then. But I just want to guard against that if a report
Member
is
Murray?
tabled there, we're going to change it.
Member Murray, the process as it is that we are currently checking the report, and we are checking whether the report aligns with the intentions of the committee as the discussion unfolded. After we've finalized and adopted this report, we will then move on to the minutes of the meeting of the 27th of October, where that will happen. Member Kama, I see your hand.
Apologies, I really missed your reasoning behind the request you were making, because I think this is to get an understanding, you know, as to, because if you look to the second part of the resolution, where it says the reason for this request is to establish the impact of having a centralized, you know, government youth program, rather than via transversal program across the Western Cape government, because I think this will assist us to measure the impact, you know, of the youth development work that we are doing. So it's just getting an understanding. I don't know whether the problem is the feasibility study part or what, because we want
It's the word departmental, based in the department. That's what I'm struggling to understand. So it says a feasibility study on having a youth directorate based in the department with its own chief director and other components.
So you're suggesting that maybe we tilt it's only the issue of the location within government.
So what we are asking is, we're asking the department to restructure the department, and I'm not sure whether we can ask whether we can ask them to do that feasibility study for us, or whether we need to ask our researchers to do that research. I'm happy with the resolution as it is. I'm interested in the information, and I'm interested in seeing what comes back, because I'm also hoping that if they read this, they will maybe consider putting this in their strategic plan, which they scheduled to table to us early next year as well.
I think let's go with it, Chair, but I'm also not opposed to having our research unit doing it. But I assume that after that we'll again want to get an input, you know, of the department on this, because we're also trying to see how do we recommend to the department and help them to deliver better services to the people.
No, Member Kama, I'm happy for us to leave it as is. I think the department has more money than Parliament, so they can do the research for us. And if we need more research, we can then just ask our researchers.
Thank you, Chair.
Perfect. The next one is a list of safety ambassadors for whom the department created employment opportunities. By way of context, the Minister of Cultural Affairs and Sports, in her acting position as the Minister of Community Safety in early 2022, stated that following the phasing out of the Safety Ambassadors Program, that the Department of Cultural Affairs and Sport would create employment opportunities for safety ambassadors. Members, I've got a very different recollection of what the Minister said. The words that the Minister said in early 2022, if I remember correctly, went along the lines of that the purpose of the program is to encourage people to apply for positions as they open up, whether those are positions in communities, or whether that is positions in the government, or whether it is through Chrysalis, or through whether it's LEAP, or whether it's other municipal safety programs. I'm just trying to get an understanding of whether anybody else had a different recollection. Member Kama?
No, thanks, Chair. I think you are right in so far as the minister not making a commitment that these people will be put in another program, but there was an indication that of other programs that the department has, and that these Chrysalis or these, I mean, safety ambassadors, sorry about that, these safety ambassadors would get an opportunity to apply. I don't know if we can then, Chair, just get an understanding as to, out of these ambassadors, are there any who have been absorbed in the programs of the department? Because the minister did speak about the programs of that the department is having, which presents itself as an opportunity for these safety ambassadors. Because if you recall, Chair, we were raising around the issue of where are they now going to go after a year of this opportunity.
Okay, so then can I ask then that we just, in terms of keeping our resolution clear and concise, we just ask for a list of the safety ambassadors for whom the department created employment opportunities. We don't need to give the context, because that's confusing me, because I'm not sure I know I remember correctly what the minister spoke about. And then we can just get the new minister to give us a list of the safety ambassadors for whom the department has created employment opportunities. Thank you. I see Member Kama's hand went up, so that's good. And then the last one is details of engagements with local government regarding the implementation of the Traditional and Khoisan Leadership Act, Act 2019, Act 3 of 2019. Members, are you happy with the correctness of this report, and does it capture all of the resolutions and decisions that were taken in the meeting on the 27th of October?
I'm happy, Chair.
Baie dankie, agbare Plato. Collega's, kan ek dan nou vra vir iemand om, what's the Afrikaans word for propose? May I ask someone to propose the adoption of this report?
Voor te stel.
Voor te stel.
Propose.
Kan ek 'n voorsteller kry? Dankie, agbare Baartman. Agbare Kama, wil u dan die... Would you like to then... Wil u dan die verslag sekondeer?
I second.
Ek sekondeer dan as Kama stadig is.
Baie dankie. Die verslag is dan gesekondeer deur agbare Maree, want agbare Kama het te lank gevat met die Afrikaans en agbare Maree wil hê ons moet Afrikaans praat. Meneer Matthews, is u gelukkig met dit?
All in order, Chairperson.
Baie dankie collega's. Nou gaan ons oor na die notulen vir die 27ste Oktober 2022. Agbare Maree, I'm going to try to do this part in Afrikaans, but if I falter, please don't, please correct me gently.
I will not correct you, sir, as long as everybody understands what you're saying. Afrikaans is very adaptable.
Baie dankie, agbare. Collega's, dis nou die notule vir die standaarde komitee op gemeenskapsveiligheid, kultuursake en sport vir die vergadering wat donderdag 27 Oktober plaasgevind het. Die eerste bladsy it covers the attendance, and I really need to read more Afrikaans literature. Kan jy asseblief net seker maak dat u naam is daar en dat is in die korrekte plek en dat u ook dit reg gespel is in Afrikaans en in Engels? Die eerste deel is dan net just covers the welcoming. It covers the discussion.
Chairperson, can I address you?
Yes, please, Member Marie.
There's much confusion amongst public members. I would like them, please, as a request, say Minister Anru Marie. People think still I'm the minister that they talk about. When I arrive at functions, I'm introduced as Minister Marie. I'm not a minister. I would like them to, in documents or whatever they have, henceforth, specifically say, Honorable Minister Anru Marie, not just Minister Marie. It's just a request, please.
Thank you very much. Mr. Matthews, can we please make that amendment on this document as well? That yes, it's very good that you are correcting the Mr. Guy Redmond, because I've thought that it was Dr. Guy Redmond during the meeting. Mr. Matthews, can we just go back to the top after you've done those amendments to also check that it does say Minister Anru Marie? I can understand why they confuse you, Member Marie.
I understand too, sir, but I like accuracy, sir.
You are both very lovely and love Afrikaans.
Thank you.
If it was me, I would have not corrected that thing. It would be nice to be mistaken to be a minister.
No, Member Kama, remember what happened to the previous National Minister of Arts and Culture, the Honorable Dr. Apollo Jordan? We can't pretend that we are certain things when we are not. Some of us are destined just to be honorable members, and that's good enough for us. Colleagues, that covers page 1. Are there any changes or additions to be done to page 2? Someone is Kama laughing. And then we're now moving on to ons beweeg nou na bladsy 3. Enige veranderings op bladsy 3? Meneer Matthews, as ons net op kan gaan na bladsy 2 toe gou net, die woord legacy by Netball World Cup 6.4. Baie dankie. Oh, thank you. That's very helpful. And then also 6.10, just the S at the word reconstructions. It's just reconstruction. Collega's, enige veranderinge op bladsy 4? May I then please ask for a mover to propose that we adopt the minutes of our meeting on the 27th of October.
I so move, Chair.
Baie dankie, agbare Plato. Enige iemand wat die agbare Plato wil sekondeer? Agbare Maree?
Ja, ek sal maar die DA se werk doen in sekondeer. Hulle
Is
is
dit
nog
nie-
so stadig om te sekondeer. Ek
Is dit
sal
nie die
sekondeer.
komitee se werkie, Agbare Maree? Is die,
Ek sekondeer vir meneer Plato.
kyk die vlag wat ek vandag aan het.
Pragtig, pragtig.
Baie dankie. Die notulen vir die vergadering van die 27ste Oktober is dan aanvaar. What's the Afrikaans word for adopted? Adopted.
Aangeneem.
Aangeneem, there we go. Baie dankie collega's, ons gaan nou oor na die notulen vir die vergadering van 26 Oktober 2022, and my Afrikaans bundles have now officially run out. But this was a meeting of the Standing Committee on Cultural Affairs and Sports dealing with the finalization of the Heritage Western Cape shortlisting. The first page deals with attendance. We resolved on the process. And we also considered and shortlisted nominees, and we adopted the report on shortlisting. We then had a discussion on the committee's business plan, and then we adjourned. Are there any amendments to the first page of our minutes? I see no hands. Please may I then ask for a proposal for the minutes of the meeting on the 26th of October 2022.
I propose, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable Plato. May I have a seconder?
Come now, Mr. Peter Maree, please.
I will second it, sir.
Thank you very much. We now then move on to the draft minutes of the meeting held on the 17th of October 2022. This meeting, Mr. Matthews, I just lost you there for a minute. Sorry, I think, there we go, back. This was a meeting on the 17th of October, and this was a briefing on the Heritage Western Cape shortlisting process. The first page deals with the attendance. The also outlines the briefing delivered by Mr. Janse van Rensburg. Gave us the criteria, the roles and responsibilities, as well as the shortlisting process that the committee discussed. And the meeting then adjourned at 15:50. Are there any?
I noted,
Yes, Member Plato, go ahead.
Chairperson, I note you did not make provision for apologies, if I'm correct.
We will add that. Member Matthews, I'm just trying to get a understanding. I think Member Fry was standing in for Member Plato on that day. Am I correct?
That would be
Yes.
correct.
Member Plato, you missed out on a wonderful trip to Robben Island.
He didn't know whether it's going to be a permanent stay there.
Yeah, no, that is correct. I was a little bit afraid for my being locked up for nothing, you know.
Especially with their limited water resources and electricity. Colleagues, may I please then ask for a proposer to adopt the minutes of our meeting on the 17th of October?
I propose, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Maree. May we? Thank you very much, Member Bartman. I was hoping for Member Plato, but we had a little a twinning of the elders going there. The minutes of our meeting of the 17th of October are then duly adopted. There we go. The next report that we are going to discuss is the draft report on the oversight visit to the Robben Island Museum. The first page lists the delegation. That gives us the background. Are there any changes or amendments to page 1 in terms of, have we accurately captured people's attendance? Perfect. Page 2.
Chairperson,
Yes, Mr. Matthews?
if I may, I'm also actually not sure what is meant under background. The second sentence looks very misplaced. Could I just remove it because I don't think it bears any relevance? Not quite sure what the
it
purpose
is
of
maybe
it was there.
not entirely.
Just says that although not entirely linked, the committee visited. It doesn't match up to anything.
It was, I think it was supposed to say that although it's not our mandate, the committee visited, but we can remove it. I think it would be easier. And then maybe we can just change the word background to introduction.
Shall we remove the whole sentence, although not entirely linked, up till visit?
So that it will now read, the Standing Committee on Community Safety, Cultural Affairs and Sport concluded an oversight visit to the Robben Island Museum. The visit was preceded by a brief introductory meeting with the Robben Island Museum Executive Council led by Dr. S. Cooper. Is that in order, members?
Yes, and the next sentence?
The Robben Island Museum Chief Executive Officer, Ms. A. Tloare, was also in attendance, along with Mr. S. Tsayane, representing the Office of the Director General of the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. Other senior officials of the Robben Island Museum's key directorates were also in attendance.
Yeah. So I'm not with you. Sorry to delay the meeting.
No worries, member. Can we just go back to that paragraph and keep the paragraph on the screen, Mr. Matthews? Please go ahead, Member Murray.
It says the Standing Committee on Community Safety, Cultural Affairs and Sport, and you said, okay, concluded an oversight visit to the Robben Island Museum, it's fine. And then although not entirely linked, the committee visited, full stop. Now visited who, what?
We removed that sentence already, sir. Yes.
Thank you. And then, sir?
Then it says the visit was preceded by a brief introductory meeting with the Robben Island Executive Council. That's the third sentence.
Yes, and that's fine then. Thank you.
No problem. We're moving on to page 3.
Page 3, sir, 3.4. The last sentence. These partnerships seek to enhance the experience and accessibility of both local and I don't know what they mean there. What experience and accessibility to both local and international tourists?
So what
accessibility to what?
What they mean there is that the department works with other, or the museum works with other role players, whether they're government or non-governmental, to further enhance people's visitor experience to the museum and making the museum more accessible.
Is that 3.4, sir? You're rewriting that sentence now?
No, I'm not, sir. The full sentence starting 3.4, it says, in addition to the governmental partnerships, the Robben Island Museum also engages with other structures such as the role players in the national and local tourism industry, Wesgro, South African Airways, and the Federated Hospitality Association of South Africa. Further partnerships with Standard Bank and First National Bank are also being pursued to enhance ticket sales. These partnerships seek to enhance the experience and accessibility of both local and international tourists. So they're talking about all the partnerships starting from point 3.3 all the way to the last part of 3.4.
Okay, sir. And what about this is in the paragraph above that. On a local government level, the city of Cape Town is another major stakeholder. And then it says there, the RIM has identified a need for a sports program on the island and has already what? What have they already done?
There we go, Member Maria. Are you happy with that correction?
Let me see.
It's on the screen.
It's already explored. Okay. It's already explored a partnership with okay.
Wasim, that needs to
Yes.
read. Sorry. I don't know who that was. Wasim, that it's not the Department of Cultural Affairs, it's the Department of Sports. It's the National Department of Sports. National Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. Member Maria, are you happy with that?
Yes, sir. Then I'm happy. Now it makes sense. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Colleagues, we then move on to the bottom part of, there we go. So 3.5, we're now on page 4. Then we're moving on to page 5, which is just my signature.
Can I address you, sir?
Yes, you may, Member Maria.
If I recall, members, when we chatted to Dr. Cooper, one thing he mentioned was a deterioration of the facilities in Robben Island. And he said that when it was kept in perfect condition because the prisoners used to clean it up, they made use of the prisoners on the island to make sure the place is neat and tidy and everything is maintained. And now it's not being done and there's lacking funds. Why is this left out? This is a very key thing that we learned, that the place is deteriorating the infrastructure because of funds which is withheld from them to do it. The second point is we also learned that
Member
the
Maria,
only thing.
Member Maria, before you continue to the second point, can I propose that we add a 3.12 just to include the point that you just made?
Thank you, sir.
Wasim, can we then say that the committee noted that the current management model for Robben Island and then I don't know how we're going to say this, but with multiple government stakeholders having responsibility for different parts of the island, or having responsibility for funding different parts of the island, sorry. And I'm just I want to capture the sort of the essence of what Member Marais said.
Say different aspects of infrastructure maintenance.
the different aspects of infrastructure maintenance.
That negatively affected standards in general. Has negatively affected the maintaining.
The maintenance standards.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Member Marais, the second point that you would like to make?
The second point, when we toured the island and we had chatted and we were all standing around Dr. Cooper, one thing that struck me, that it's an unhappiness that although they also served time on the island for the same reason as ANC leaders like Mandela and others, they are not mentioned. I haven't seen a single photo of Dr. Cooper or others on there. I don't know why that is. I don't know if Neville Alexander's photo was there. He was there for something like 20 years. I don't know if when they brief foreign visitors to the island, they ever mention the names of these people, or is it only Sisulu and Mandela who suffered because of their political convictions? And I feel very, very strongly about this. Colored people were also fighters in this freedom. And they also suffered. Muslims, coloreds, Christians. They don't mention everything that's being marketed is Mandela, Sisulu, and those people. Nobody mentions them. And I think it should be addressed. Because after all, we're not the social welfare department. We are a political agency of the state.
Thank you, Member Marais. So this visit is part of a series of visits that we're going to do that looks at the sort of the entire heritage tourism supply chain, if that's the word to use. So we are also going to visit the City Hall to look at the exhibition there. So I think maybe what we can say is the committee looks forward to a follow-up briefing from the Robben Island Museum on how it is going to incorporate all of the other political prisoners on Robben Island, besides the famous ones.
I see you're the only one supporting me, sir. It's very disappointing.
I think that the other members are waiting to see what the text is going to say. So the committee looks forward to engaging with the Robben Island Museum to get an update on how it will incorporate the other political prisoners or historical. Are we saying other histories? Okay, of political prisoners.
Give a more accurate historical, place it in a more accurate historical context.
Member Marais, I'm wary of us using the words accurate historical context because the Robben Island Museum deals in, we've only saw a small part of what the museum does because our tour was fairly short. So we didn't see every aspect of their program. So I'd prefer if we say sort of other political prisoners, and then Wasim, if we can start a new sentence saying, the committee is especially interested in how the museum frames the histories of people, of political prisoners from the Western Cape.
This is very important, sir, because we are going to die. All of us, it's here. What do we leave behind for our future generations to remember and to cling to and to remember? Was my great-great-grandfather also there? Did they ever take part? Didn't they ever suffer the same as other people whose names are so prominently displayed? I want a more accurate version of history, because they say history belongs to the conqueror. He's the only one who gets mentioned. Now, I believe, sir, we're going to correct this. We're going to take a stronger stand on this, that if they are going to spend taxpayers' money to keep Robben Island as it is and draw future generations to remember what happened at Robben Island, what does it stand for? That our ancestors and that our people should not be forgotten. Lest we forget, their names should be displayed in the same prominence.
Thank you, Member Maria. May I propose a 3.14 as well then? The committee will invite the Robben Island Museum, Heritage Western Cape, the Western Cape Cultural Commission, the City of Cape Town's Heritage Unit, I don't know if they're department, but the Western Cape Archives, and the District 6 Museum to share some of the work that they are doing to showcase and bring to prominence the contribution of the forgotten heroes of the struggle. Members, are you happy with that addition?
I would say all forgotten heroes of the struggle. Just all before forgotten.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. Matthews. We're going to just scroll up. Sorry, I meant move. There we go. Check. Members, may I then now ask for a proposer to adopt this report?
Chair, I propose.
Thank you very much. It is proposed by the Honourable Peter Marais and seconded by the Honourable Dan Plato. We then will now move on to the draft report on the oversight visits to the Central Library and the City Hall, where we saw a wonderful exhibition outlining the contribution of former President Nelson Mandela. Page 1 just deals with, it's just the title page. Page 2 deals with the delegation. It consisted of myself, Member Baartman, Member Plato, and Member Windvogel. There's the background in terms of what we wanted to achieve. Wasim. Okay, there we go. You've corrected that already. The next page, page 3. There we go. And then if we go down, page 3. Members, I'm reminded of Member Marais earlier saying that he gets mistaken for being Minister Marais. If I remember correctly, on this visit, Member Plato was mistaken for being Member Plato, but they thought that he was the executive mayor still. He was very famous that day.
He's still smiling.
Members, may I please have a proposer for the adoption of this report? Member Plato, Member Bartman, you were with me there.
Yes.
Member Plato proposes and I will second it. The report is then duly adopted. Colleagues, thank you very much for your time this morning and for making time to adopt these reports. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend and that you will enjoy Netball Friday. I might want to ask, and I don't know if I'm allowed to, Mr. Matthews?
No, Chairperson, after you.
No, I was just going to ask if all the members could just switch on their cameras so we can see whether members are wearing their Netball Friday t-shirts that we harass the department for. But I don't think the members are going to switch on their cameras. But you can go ahead, Mr. Matthews.
Yes, Chairperson, it's just a technicality for just to say that the committee has adopted the draft documents with amendments where applicable. I think one
yes,
should
sorry.
suffice just to make sure that we've just covered our bases, that where we've made changes, that we've amended it, adopted it with the amendments agreed to.
Thank you very much for that very important technical distinction. Members, the reports adopted, both the Robben Island Museum and the visit to the City of Cape Town Central Library and the City Hall, has been duly adopted with amendments where applicable. Have you all had time to put on your netball t-shirts in that short minute?
Chair, can I point of order, because honourable members were so quiet recently, even Deirdre hasn't said a word. Can we just check if we still have a quorum and if they are still in attendance before we take the last vote? So unusual not to hear Honourable Bartman, and the voice is missing here.
Honourable Bartman is present and she has been present, Member Marais, but we're not going to pick on any members. We are all special honourable members in our own right. Colleagues, with that, thank you very much for your participation this morning. It's really appreciated, and I hope that you enjoy the Netball Friday and that you also have a wonderful weekend. And I do hope that you're going to spend this weekend supporting the arts and also attending some sport matches, whether that's in your communities and your constituencies, or whether that is Member Kama, the soccer that's probably going to be on as well. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes, Member Marais.
I mentioned the last meeting that the committee must consider under your chairmanship to visit Genadendal, Elim, Wuppertal for cultural issues that has perhaps been neglected, but still very much being practiced there. Now we can assist those communities. I just want you not to forget that, because the programming authority will be sitting soon. And I'm sure that I want to know, is that part of our plans as a committee?
Yes, it is, Member Marais. Mr. Matthews and I need to find some time next week during the constituency period just to finalize the business plan. But it has, if I remember correctly, members, from our last meeting where we discussed the committee's program, it was put on the draft program, and we just need to cost it. And then we will then go to the programming authority and ask for dates for that to be put onto the program for early next year.
Chair?
Yes,
why
Mr. Plato?
is it that Honourable Murray is omitting Griqua stad, referring to his Griqua community?
All the people living in Elim Genadendal, they are actually Griquas. Hulle weet dit nog net nie agterlik.
Dis 'n goeie
Member
een daai.
Member Murray and Member Plato, whilst you are busy with world domination, may I then ask that we say thank you again to our procedural staff for supporting us and to Mr. Matthews for putting all of these documents together. And thank you once again. Please have a wonderful weekend. And I see Member Bartman has just started clapping hands. But I don't know if Member Murray can see the hands being clapped. So Member Bartman is still with us, Member Murray. Thank you very much for joining us. The meeting is thus adjourned.
Thank
Have a
you.